during what we usually see during the summertime and those pop-up storms. Out in the tropics, things are looking good locally. You don't need to worry about them this weekend in the Gulf. You don't need to worry about them down in the Caribbean. But out in the open Atlantic, we are tracking what is Invest 94. It's a broad area of low pressure, not organized at all, and it's been trying to organize, but it is still struggling. Right now, notice this big envelope of showers and storms and moisture traveling along north of the equator. We call this the intertropical convergence zone, and this is where you get a lot of rising motion near the equator. And occasionally what will happen is some of this will try to break off and develop into a tropical system. That sometimes happens in June and especially into July, but it looks like it does have a chance to happen over the next 5 days or so. So the broad low pressure right in there, it will drift off towards the west. It's moving at about 21 miles an hour right now. And as it gets closer to the Lesser Antilles early next week, it will try to organize some. And the Hurricane Center is giving it about a 50% chance right now. That will probably continue to go up, but anywhere from today through this weekend and early next week, it will have that chance to try to organize maybe into a depression or our next named storm, which is Bonnie. So if you're traveling out to the islands here, there's the Dominican Republic, there's Puerto Rico, there's the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, there's Barbados. By Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they could feel some impacts from a system. And some models do strengthen this a little bit, others not so much. Overall, it's not moving into a terrible environment. Wind shear is not terrible. There's not a ton of dry air, so it would not be surprising to see it try to organize. It's a reminder, it is this far out there, which means it's worth a mention. Beyond that, we're not going to speculate what it's going to try to do if it does ever get into the Caribbean. There's just too many things between now and then that have to work out for it to get and to become a concern for us. I do want to point out how rare it is to get a storm out in this part of the Atlantic in late June. These are late June storm formation areas. A lot are closer to home. There's about 4 that have developed out in here. One was last year. Remember Elsa? Elsa formed right there. It did become a hurricane as it entered the Caribbean. It was a weak storm as it moved up towards Florida, but it was a late June storm, and around July 4th weekend, they had a storm over in Florida. So it can happen, and it happened last year, but it is quite rare, and it looks like it will try to do it again this year, at least try to form out in that area. So we'll keep an eye on it, but we got a long time to track it. It is no immediate threat for us. We are not really concerned with it at this point, but we need to follow it long term.